Welcome, everybody. We are here on June 4th, day 4 of our Summer Reading Regatta. Tonight, we're doing the middle grade fiction regatta leg. Tonight, Joan H. Young is reading and Carol Trembath is reading. We're going to have an awesome time. Lots of time tonight with two authors for you to do questions and answers. Feel free to put your questions or your comments in the chat or in the Q&A feature, and we will field those and get them answered for you. Before we go any further, I want to introduce my harbor crew. There is absolutely no way that I could put on an event like this without my esteemed sailor friends. I can't say that enough. There's no way I could do this without you folks. Thank you so much. D.A. Reed, we know her as Deborah Reed. Thank you very much for being on the crew. Christopher Gare, thank you for joining us tonight. Brent Seth, thank you. Andrew Smith, oh my gosh, there you are. Andrew Smith, thank you for joining us on the crew. Caroline Topperman, thank you for joining the crew. And Kate McNeil, my sanity saver when nobody else does. Thank you for being on the crew. Tonight, as I said, Joan Young and Carol Trembath will be reading for us, and we're gonna have a little conversation with them before we start. Let me share my screen with you to begin. This one. Okay. So first up tonight, we're going to talk about the Sailor Shore School. Andrew's going to give you a little preview of the astounding writing workshops that we've got coming up this month. Take it away, Andrew.
We've got lots of fun again this time. 5 great events that you can come to and learn a little bit more. On June 7th, Carolyn Topperman is going to use images as prompts and give us all sorts of ways that we can describe things much better and be better about how we write. Kate McNeil, who gave us a fantastic presentation last time, is going to give us street and launch teams, all hands on deck, and show us how we can launch more effectively and get the right people involved to take that book to the top of the list quick and easy. Our own Deborah Reed, that's Da Reed to you, has You Had Me at the Hook, opening lines, and how you hook people in quick, easy, effectively, and make them go, gee, I want to read more of this. For those of you that can, you can join me on June 27th with Weapons in Fiction, Shots Across the Bow, and we're going to talk about all sorts of different things and how we can write them more effectively so that when people read it, say, yeah, that's right, that's accurate. Great ways of dealing with weapons. All interactive. And then finally on June 28th, Brent Seth and Christopher Gare are going to show us how to create fantastic world in Land Ho. How do you create that perfect world for all of your characters to run around in? All $5 cheap at 10 times the price. If you don't go, you can get a replay for $10. But if you do go and pay that $5, you'll get the replay. And guess what? New technology will give you a transcript at the end. So you can copy and paste stuff and say, oh, I like this. It'll all be great. Join us all. We're going to have fun.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. I want to make a couple of notes before we move on to our first author tonight. Carolyn Topperman's Views Port and Starboard and Deborah Reed's You Had Me at the Hook are both interactive and highly appropriate for young writers. Bring your young people along to join us for those workshops. Also, another note, Andrew Smith's workshop, because we are dealing with weaponry and some mature themes, we like to say that this is a PG-13 workshop. We highly recommend that those of you who have young people who are interested, make sure to supervise them through this workshop. So let's get the readings started. We're going to start with Joan Young. This is her book, The Lonely Donkey. It's number 5 in the Dubois Files family of books. She's going to read a little bit of this for us tonight. But first, before she does that, we're going to have a little conversation with Joan. Hi, Joan. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. I love it when you come on the program and join us for this silliness. You're so prolific in your writing. You write not just middle grade, but you also write mysteries for grown-ups, and you write nonfiction. How is it that you're able to juggle all these different styles of writing?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Fair enough.
I started with the nonfiction books about just telling stories of things that happened on some long hikes I took on the North Country Trail. And then I decided, well, in 2010, 11, I guess, that I wanted to try to write more fiction, and I thought I would try mysteries. So I did. And the first one is kind of simple, but it worked and it got me started. And the kids' books spun off of those, and here I am.
Yep. And I want to also add that you also write short stories and poetry as well.
Correct.
So there's a whole amazingness to your author wonderment. So I'm really glad that you're going to be back later in the month to share your mystery with us as well. So right. I want to make sure people know about that too. Before we begin, I'd really love it if you could give us a setup for The Lonely Donkey and the series as a whole.
Sure. This, as Diana said, it's book 5 in the series. They are set in the 1950s, so they have some historical content for kids as well as being cute mystery stories. They are, I say that they're aimed at 2nd to 5th graders. I've had some younger kids that were already reading, pick them up, and if your 6th grader has read all the Harry Potter books, they're going to seem a little juvenile. So, it's up to you, to a parent, to whatever, to the kids seeing them in a library to decide if there's something they're interested in. But that's kind of the age range that I have aimed at. There are 5 main characters. It's a very diverse group of little kids. Jimmy and Cora are country neighbors. They're best friends. There is an African-American family that lives up around the corner, and the 2 children in that family are George and Ruby. And Ruby is the main character of The Lonely Donkey. This is a picture. This is one of the illustrations from the book behind me. And I'm going to read the scene that goes with that illustration tonight. And then the 5th little kid, his name is Laszlo, and his family has just come from Hungary to be tenant farmers on Jimmy's farm. So these are the 5 little kids who are the cast of characters throughout this series. And, some other kids come in too, but these are the repeat characters.
Awesome. I would love it. When you are ready, please take the helm and read for us.
Okay. So I am reading from a chapter near the middle of the book. This is a Halloween story. So it happens in October, and this is just a cute scene with Ruby, okay?
Right.
Her brother is George. I think I said that, but let's be sure you know that George is her brother. On this same day, George was also busy at home. The worms his family raised to sell had to be insulated against the coming winter. George had been instructed to rake all the leaves from the yard and even bring some from the nearby woods if needed to pile around the worm boxes. Then the boxes would be enclosed with solid wooden fences to hold the leaves in place so the worms would not freeze. Ruby helped rake for a while, but she got tired. Since it wasn't really her job, George thanked her and didn't ask her to stay. This was what Ruby wanted. She had other plans. She went into the kitchen. Her mother wasn't there, which was exactly what Ruby was hoping. She filled a small kettle with water and took a scrub brush from under the sink. Then she went out the back door and began to climb the hill, making sure she was out of George's sight. She hoped Mama wasn't looking out a window. Ruby wasn't doing anything forbidden, but she didn't want to explain what she was going to do. And as soon as she had climbed about halfway to Mrs. Ginto's house, she stepped off the road and into the woods. Her destination was the little cemetery. After she entered the gate, she walked straight over to the grave of the baby, Rebecca Ann Miles. She knelt in front of it and set down the kettle of water. Only a little bit had splashed out on the walk. Ruby dipped the brush in the water and began to wash the headstone that had a little lamb on it. She sang, "Sweetly sings the donkey at the break of day." But then she stopped singing and began to talk out loud. "Rebecca, you will always be the youngest in your family because you never got a chance to grow up. You never got to play with your brothers and Emmeline, but they never teased you either. Can you believe I have to be a little boy for Halloween?" Rebecca did not answer, but Ruby pretended she did. "You don't think that matters? The important thing is that I wasn't left out." Ruby scrubbed at the words carved into the stone. She wanted to get out all the green lichen that was growing in the cracks. "I wish Mrs. Ginto would sell the baby donkey to Mama and Daddy when it's old enough. How did George know that's what I want? But he says we can't afford to feed it. I suppose donkeys can't eat leaves and garbage like the worms can. If you do not feed him, this is what he'll say." Ruby wished the little stone lamb would baa and cheer her up. She threw down the brush and ran around the edge of the cemetery, dragging a stick along the black metal bars in the fence. The stick made a calming brrrp sound. Next, she found a many-forked branch and used it like a rake to clear the newly fallen leaves from around all the headstones. "Cora is my good friend, even if she doesn't like to play with dolls as much as I do. She hugged me when George told me I couldn't have Coco's baby." Ruby picked up the brush and scrubbed Rebecca's headstone once more. She ran her fingers over the clean letters, spending extra time on the R, which was also the first letter of her own name. Then she tossed the brush in the empty kettle, grabbed the handle, and began running down the hill, yelling, "Hee-haw, hee-haw." When she reached her house, out of breath, her mother met her at the kitchen door. "What have you been doing, Ruby girl?" she asked. "Just playing, Mama."
Well done. Thank you so much. I love all the little sound effects. Very, very cool. Very cool.
And such good singing. I appreciate it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Any questions from the Harbor crew for Joan?
Ooh, I really like the illustration. Who does your illustrations?
An artist from Ludington, the town near where I live, did the covers, but I did the interior illustrations. I did this one.
Very cool.
Very cool.
You're super multi-talented. This I did not know.
Yeah, that is
Awesome.
amazing. I really like it.
I've got a
Very
quick
cool.
question.
Yes.
I've never actually written fiction for that particular age group, so I'm legitimately curious. Is it difficult to simplify a story down to something that age group would enjoy and still make it enjoyable for you as an author too?
I think that I have the brain of a 10-year-old boy trapped in a 73-year-old woman's body. So I don't know. The stories just kind of grow out of silly things I did as a kid and stuff like that. But writing the books it's fun, but it's a little more challenging than writing the general audience mysteries because I have to be careful of length. You know, a general audience mystery, I can just write it till the story's done. And, you know, if it's 80,000 words or 60,000 words, it doesn't really matter. These ones, I'm trying to keep them right around 20,000 words. And so I've had to brutally cut out a few things that I thought were cute or whatever. I'm trying to keep the vocabulary not challenging, but I don't like to write down to kids. So you know, if there's a few words in the books that kids don't know, that's fine, but you don't want to overdo it. So I have to be careful of that. So the mechanics of the writing is more challenging than for the general audience books, but the stories themselves, I think the only thing that's tough about those is coming up with scenarios that would be appropriate for the kids. The one that's going to come up next is they're going to stumble on a group of people who are doing something illegal. And so, you know, you have to be careful to keep it both
family friendly
and be able to be solved in ways that kids could solve that, you know?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I have a question for you. In the scene that you just read,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was detail and emotion. I mean, the playfulness of a child with the underlying feeling of someone who truly appreciates someone who has passed on. I mean, does that come from personal experience, or is it imagination, or can you expand on that a little?
I think that scene with Ruby is mostly imagination. Ruby's the youngest of the group, and she is strongly aware of that. She doesn't like being the littlest, and she knows that they all care about her and respect her, but at the same time, sometimes she can't quite keep up physically, and they do tease her a little bit. The book starts with her being teased, and so she's trying to overcome these feelings of not being quite good enough. And the reference in what I read to her having to be a little boy for Halloween, they couldn't figure out what to be for Halloween, and then they found you're all parents, so you know, I don't feel like I'm gonna just ruin the story if I tell you. They find this interesting coin bank that was an actual coin bank design in the late 1800s, and they clean it up and they decide that they want to try to create a Halloween costume that looks like this bank. And on the bank is this little boy that jumps up and scares a donkey on the bank. And Ruby's, because she's the little one, she has to be the little boy, and she's a girly girl. She doesn't want to be a little boy.
Awesome.
We've all had to be a hobo before. I mean,
no kidding. I was little. I had to be a mouse for like 4 years. It was terrible. Go ahead, Deborah.
Joan, I just wanted to say I love how much you revealed of her personality just in that short scene.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The care that she was taking with the headstone, and then getting up and even though it was like lighthearted, and she seemed lighthearted at the moment, clearing away like the leaves from the headstones, the fact that she cleared them from all of the surrounding headstones, not just that one. I mean, I think you just did a really good job with just the action in the scene of showing just her character and her personality. That was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very immersive. I really felt like I could slip inside the character for those moments. It was very, very cool. Very emotionally attractive. Yeah.
100%. My great grandparents, they were sharecroppers in Kentucky. And my mom never told me about any of that or what they went through when they moved from little cottage to cottage until I was about 30 years old. And she said it was because she didn't want to tell me that as a child. And so you translating this into something that a child could still appreciate and still be age appropriate, that's so important. And so thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I want to share the screen one more time before we move on to Carol, because I want to remind you what Joan's book looks like. Again, this is The Lonely Donkey, and this is number 5 in a series. Joan, just real quick, can you tell me, do we need to read these in order, or can we read them as standalones?
Each one stands alone with one possible exception. the big boss, which is number 4, sort of grows out of what happened in the ABZ affair. So you're not going to lose any part of the story of the big boss, but you're going to, at the beginning, if you haven't read the ABZ affair, you might say, wait, how did this happen? Why is Tito acting the way he is?
Okay.
So that's the only risk.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for your reading.
Thank you.
Stupendous. I appreciate you being with us again for this festival. Always nice to have return visitors. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing it.
I'm having a good time. I am. It's so selfish. I'm really having a good time. Like, you know, when I was a kid, we would go to the library and have story time every Sunday afternoon. And this is why I love doing these festivals, is because for me, it's like reliving every Sunday afternoon at the library. I'm having a blast. So we're going to move on to Carol Trembath's book. This is Out of Slavery. This is a novel about Harriet Tubman, which I think is a really cool topic. It's a part of history that I don't know enough about. My elementary school didn't teach us enough about this time in history, oddly enough. So this has definitely captured my imagination, as I know it has a few of the others when we were introduced to Carol last year. Thank you, Carol, for being here. I'm so happy you came back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit? I know we talked about this a little bit in February. We touched on it, but I'd like you to expand a little bit on how you came to make the decision to write about Harriet, and what really was the driving force behind it?
I was totally inspired. As a teacher, we always have to do continuing education. And I went on a National Endowment for the Humanities Project, and I was in Missouri. And the topic was the pre-Civil War, the guerrilla warfare that preceded the Civil War for 5 years, John Brown, that kind of thing. And, you know, by Thursday afternoon, we were at an archaeological dig. We came back into the classroom in the field area. And the professor from Missouri, he digressed from the topic. And he told a story about what happened in South Carolina. And I was so upset. I went in the bathroom and I cried and I cried. I couldn't stop crying. And I go, oh my gosh, you know, 40 educators are getting on the bus, Carol, shut up. Put your glasses on, put your head down, get on the bus, and that's it. You have got to stop crying. So I made a deal with myself that I would not cry anymore until I went home. And then as I drove home from St. Louis to Detroit area, I just sobbed and sobbed. And when I came home within 3 days, I wrote a chapter called Roses at the Race Course. And then I wrote the chapter that you're going to hear next was, you know, the next chapter. And I didn't in the beginning intend to write a novel. There were separate stories, but as things progressed, it all came into being. And I was totally inspired by Harriet. The second chapter came about, well, Roses at the Race Course, about what happened in South Carolina during the Civil War. There was a huge battle called the Battle for Fort Wagner. And Fort Wagner in Charleston, and I've been everywhere where Harriet worked, lived, anywhere she lived, worked, and fought, I was there. So in Charleston, there's this huge harbor, and the center of it is Sumter. And on these arms, one of them was Fort Wagner. And you had to take Fort Wagner to get to Sumter to get to Charleston. And Harriet witnessed the battle, and she was there. So, you know, Roses at the Race Course, that one chapter is about the fact that after the Battle of Fort Wagner, there were a lot of prisoners, and they were taken into Charleston at the Washington Race Course, which was fenced in. And these men were left with no coverings, no tents, nothing to eat. They died like flies. They were buried in a mass grave. Americans don't like people to be buried in a mass grave. So James Redpath and his missionaries came down. They went to the Black churches, and they asked the Black churches, because most of the white people had fled because of the bombings. And there were 28 African-American men who dug up 257 Union soldiers and gave them a proper Christian burial.
Wow.
And a Yale professor by David W. Blight, in his book, Race and Reunion, which I immediately bought and read cover to cover, said that this was our first Memorial Day, that this was the first time in history that flowers were placed in mass on soldiers' graves. Now, you used to put flowers on your families, you know, relatives and family.
Sure, sure.
That was it, but they didn't have anything formal. So he said, this was our first Memorial Day. And you know who's responsible for it is African-American people. And so, you know, that story goes into Roses at the Race Course. It's all about the war. But when I also read a book, you know, just a coffee table book about Charleston turning the page, and I verified it with research, that Harriet Tubman witnessed the battle and she served Colonel Shaw, who was the leader of the 54th All-Black Regiment, who led the battle that day. And she was the one who served him his last meal. So, and he died in that battle, and he is memorialized in Boston, and the Boston Commons, a huge.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yep, I've seen it.
It's huge, and the one, and it's also in the Smithsonian. It's gold leaf, all of it.
Yep.
So anyway, so I was inspired by that talk, and then it just kept building into a whole book. So I thought I'd read to you. You want to ask me another question? Otherwise, I'm gonna read.
No, you know what? I'm like super intrigued. I would love it if you would take the helm and read, and I know that we will have questions when you're done.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I'm going to read from the center of the book, where Harriet is going to serve Colonel Shaw his last meal, and what was said and done. Okay. And I kind of read fast. This is the way I just do stuff. Anyway.
Go right ahead.
Now, some things might seem like just a coincidence, but I never thought so afterwards. Harriet cooked Colonel Robert Shaw's last meal. After the colonel's officers were fed and left the room, the young colonel sat at the table talking to Harriet. I was shocked, and this is another character, Cece. I was shocked by Harriet's boldness in talking to such an important commander, but I quickly made up my mind to listen by the kitchen door. I heard Harriet ask, considering tomorrow, what are you most afraid of, Colonel Shaw? And the colonel bit his lip and answered that I might be wrong. I've worked hard to train the men, but will they be ready under the most dreaded conditions? By my command, I know many of them will meet their end tomorrow and go to an early grave. Colonel Shaw, Harriet said, when I was leading slaves along the Underground Railroad, sometimes there was a bend in the road, a possible circling back. Tomorrow, your men know that there will be no bend in the road, only a fork. And some of your troops will take the high road to heaven, and others will go straight across the rampart to fight again. They know it. It doesn't make it any easier, but this is the path they have chosen. Harriet continued, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have left. That's what tomorrow brings. Your men respect you. They know what each bullet means. The 54th will show their worth to the nation. I saw Harriet lean back in her chair and pause and ask, so Colonel Shaw, what is it that you want most? The colonel clasped his hands like he was praying, and in a deliberate voice, he said, like most men, I want peace. There has got to be a way to stop this bloody war. Colonel, Harriet said, I hope you like the stew that you and your officers just enjoyed. I want to say that all those stew spices and ingredients take time to simmer into the tasty meal that you and your men just had. I do believe the same is true of this war. It will take time to change the hearts and minds of the North and South and blend and melt them together again. At this time, you are a servant at the table called history. You are the blue-eyed child of destiny, and I know you will complete the task for the greater good. Harriet continued, Colonel Shaw, see the vase of magnolias, flowers on the table? I picked them special for you. They say that the magnolias were the first flowering plant on this planet. They will probably be here long after man is gone. Like the magnolias, I pray that you survive tomorrow's battle at Fort Wagner. Through the crack in the kitchen door, I could see the colonel was getting ready to leave. He said he had to review his plans. I didn't understand everything that was said, but it made me real scared for my brother and Will, my husband. Before we left the kitchen, Harriet took most of the petals from the magnolia flowers and put them in her apron pocket. I know why. She was going to look for the Colonel tomorrow, and the flowers were her hope to find him alive. After Harriet left the room, I took some petals and put them in my pocket too. I would be looking for my husband and my brother. We didn't cook much on the day of the battle. We readied the hospital and prepared hundreds of bandages. Before dusk, we went out to watch the battle with a news reporter. She really was. We're on top of a hill overlooking the beach where the troops were gathering below. The 54th Massachusetts were lined up in strict regimental file. Colonel Shaw dismounted. He faced his men and shouted, "We are now stepping into history." He then turned and shouted, "Fix bayonets, forward men, quick step." The regiment had to funnel between the ocean and a marsh through a narrow strip of land. They could only send one regiment rushing forward at a time. Everyone knew the casualties would be extreme in the lead regiment. All guns were aimed at them from the fort's 30-foot wall. There was a murderous fire. The barrage of the cannon fire started and could be heard 15 miles away. The storm of the battle broke. There were thunderous claps of fire, smoke, and shell. There were cries of pain everywhere, and the assault went on from dusk to the black of the night. The soldiers walked into the teeth of death. It was a slaughter pit. I never saw the likes of this, and I was terrified. I could not stop shaking and started screaming at the top of my lungs, "No more! No more, Harriet! Where's my husband? Where's my brother?" I covered my eyes with my apron and sunk to the ground, and I heard Harriet yelling into my ear, "So sorry, Cece. I know you're shocked and scared, but these men are fighting for freedom and glory. I pray for your brother Will and for all the brave men to be protected by the angels in heaven tonight." After many hours, the firing stopped and the smoke lifted. There was a truce. As nurses, we were ordered onto the battlefield to help with the dead and the wounded. The carnage was beyond comprehension. It was a grisly sight. The dead lay in contorted positions, mangled by cannon fire. I found my brother. He was wounded in the arm and chest. The stretcher bearers came and took him to the hospital. I frantically looked for my husband. I grabbed every soldier I saw and asked him if he saw Sergeant William Mellon, but no one knew anything. I suddenly saw a man that looked like in size of my Will, but I couldn't be sure. I wiped away the mud from his face and screamed, "Will, you're alive!" And I ran for a stretcher bearer. Will was alive. My love was alive. I went with Will to the nearest hospital, and he was wounded in the back and was having a hard time breathing. The nearest head nurse said, "Try not to worry, he'll be fine. You better get back to the battlefield and help with the other nurses and soldiers." In obedience to orders, I began my way back to the battlefield at once. Running by the lines of wounded soldiers, I heard the frightening words from the dazed soldiers. "He's dead. Colonel Shaw's dead, and half the regiment is shot up." Oh no, it can't be, I thought. I saw Harriet going into headquarters. I ran fast to catch up with her. "Harriet," I said, I think things are really bad out there. I found Will and Lou. They're alive. Good. I'm glad to hear that. But this is much worse than anyone expected. Those poor boys were cut to pieces. I just heard outside that Colonel Shaw is dead. Harriet lowered her head and said in a quiet, quivering voice, "I did too. I was told that he died rallying his men at the rampart of the fort. They said there were so many bullet holes in his uniform that they were hard to count." Harriet clasped her hands over her face. She looked pale and was shaking, like she did sometimes when she had her spells. I pulled her into the officer's dining room and ran to get a cup of water. Harriet sat silent in a chair, rocking herself. She was mumbling, "Oh Lord, by all the heavens above, let those brave men and Colonel Shaw rest in peace. Let him rest in peace, oh Lord, let him rest in peace." Harriet then got up and put the magnolia petals from her apron pocket on the chair where Colonel Shaw sat a little while before. She then turned and looked out a window at the turmoil of camp. I saw on the dining room table a small note. It had Harriet's name on it. I asked her if she wanted me to read it. She nodded, so I began. "Dear Harriet, I was just informed that General Lee was turned back at Gettysburg. I pray the war is turning and for strength to do my sacred duty. It is all about overcoming fear and doing what is right. If I die tomorrow, it is for the greater cause. I will remember your kind words. Tell everyone you served me my last supper and that it was good. Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, commander of the 54th Massachusetts Volunteers, July 18th, 1863.
Well done. Thank you so much. What an awesome passage. so strong in its emotion. I really appreciate you reading that. Harbor Crew, any questions for Carol? Go, Kate.
First, just a comment. If you've never seen the movie Glory, everybody watch it, but don't just stop there. Go on and read more about it. This is to everybody. But if you've ever seen the movie Glory, this is what this is about. And you did such a oh God, that was just such a beautiful job of writing that. Just in terms of a question, just because I have to come up with one, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and comment on everything. This is the funny thing. I've never been to Disney World, Land, anything. On our family vacations, we always went to Civil War battlefields all over the country. And so to hear this was just such a treat to hear, and such a beautiful way of writing it too, as painful as it is to hear. So why don't you tell us what was one, to bring it back to the book, and this is just kind of going back to some of the things I've read recently too. What would you say is one of the things about Harriet Tubman that people might be surprised when you were doing your research and you read this about her? Anything that you were just like, I didn't see that coming, but hey, either I will incorporate it into the book or I won't. Go for it.
Well, you're right. This book, this is the Battle of Fort Wagner, and Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, these men were all the leads in this movie, and it talks about that big battle. For me, I don't think people knew about Harriet's inner faith. I think last night, Miss Wieland talked about, and in the preface, I do the same thing. In 1833, there was Linoid meteor shower. And with a meteor shower that happened that year, it was unbelievable all over the United States. Meteors were flying in. And very soon after that meteor shower, Harriet was hit in the head with that 2-pound weight. And she has said that that was the turning point in her life. That after that, she began to have visions and began to hear things and see things that other people don't. And she said she never, ever went on a trip to go get people in the South unless she talked to God and he said it was okay to go. Never went unless. And so people never understand her inner faith. She said, mine is not the prayer at morning and evening times, but when I feel the need, I ask and he always helps me. He always sees me through. So she grew up as a Methodist. She had, wisps of Catholicism and other things, but she was very strong in her faith. And she said, one of her last words, as people were singing outside when she was dying, swing low, sweet chariot, she said, I am going to a place now where I prepare a place for you. And she was extremely person who believed in the Creator, the Father in heaven, who was going to take care of all of us. And she saw 3 years before it ever happened, she was at Reverend Garnett's home, and she came down the stairs just screaming and screaming, my people are free, my people are free. And he said to her, don't tease us, Harriet, don't tease us, because you and I are not going to see this, but maybe my great grandkids are going to see that we'll be free one day. She says, no, I have seen it. We are going to be free and it's coming soon. So 3 years later, with the Emancipation Proclamation, they were freed, and with the amendment, but she had already seen it. And they asked her, why aren't you celebrating? And she says, I saw it already 3 years, and my Jubilee, as she said, I already had my Jubilee. She had such an inner strength and inner faith that people would be knocked off their chairs because she was totally there.
That's a really super powerful characteristic. I mean, that we have anecdotal historical record about that, I think is just completely fascinating. Somebody else had a question. I saw hands up. Deborah.
Because I know historical fiction has so much truth, but also made up parts and everything. So I'm just really curious, I was really taken with her words to the captain during the meal.
Mhm.
Are those actually words that she said to him that you found somewhere?
No.
You made that up?
You made that up? That's
I
awesome.
made that up.
That's
Okay,
great.
so how this came about is I knew that she served him his last meal. So I'm like, okay, what are these two giants going to say to each other? Don't tell me. Harriet was not a wallflower. Harriet was a very, they called her General Tubman. She was a strategist. She was a vibrant, very vocal person. Okay, so she would talk to him. Okay, so I thought, okay, Carol, what in the world are they going to talk about? If there's a direct quote, it's in it, but no, all of that chapter that you just heard was right here. And how I go, okay, like, what am I going to do to get this right? And I was walking in a park near me called Kensington, it's close. Okay.
Yep.
And I saw a tree that was bent over, and I saw the tree leaning over, and I said, that's it. I've got it. And I kept saying, what am I going to, and the idea for her was, what are you most afraid of? And she would say, Colonel, when I was leading people along the Underground Railroad, then sometimes there was a bend in the road, a possible circling back. But tomorrow there will be no bend in the road, only a fork. And some of your men will go straight across the rampart to fight again, and others will go to heaven. And then that second part of it, the stew, because she was a cook, that came up in here. And the last little bit, okay, when I said that the letter came, Colonel Shaw knew it took 7 days to get the information from Gettysburg to where they were in Charleston. But he heard the night before the battle that Lee was turned back at Gettysburg. So I put it in there. So those facts are right, but the language comes out of my head.
That's incredible. I am fascinated by what authors are capable of. I mean, and the fact that you can take tidbits of real life, and we all do this, and I'm stunned when I see other authors do it. And you take tidbits of real life and you turn it into something that's multidimensional beyond just words on the page. So I'm super impressed with your writing. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Brent, go ahead.
So Carol, I know that Harriet Tubman was fairly well known. So did you have a chance to look at like any of her speeches or letters or any of her actual words that were concrete in order to base her vocabulary on?
Yes, because, okay, at the beginning of the book, I do say that I do not imitate the language. I'm speaking just as a normal person. It's kind of degradation to do that. But, and as you heard me read, and those two talk, it's in the language we speak right now. So I can't get the lingo right, and I don't want to in any way say that. But let's see, I forgot what I was going to say. You asked about the language,
about dialect, and about her,
well, no,
her
I
specific writing.
Yeah,
okay, and then
I was meaning more in tone and stuff rather than dialect. So
right, and then of course there are two books, the Moses of their people, and the second book also. Her biographer, Harriet, was always struggling with money. She never had money to pay it in the next thing because she gave everything away, constantly was helping people. And so a biographer came along and wrote Moses of the People, and then Harriet Tubman, the Moses of her people, in the second book, and gave the money to her to pay for her farm. And so she was someone who just constantly worked to help other people, but again, she never had a lot of money ever, and she just gave it all away every time. And Mr. Stewart, Senator Stewart, who was later Lincoln's Secretary of State, William Stewart's Folly, who bought Alaska, that's the man who lived in Auburn, took sympathy with her and gave her a farm. And she had to pay just $25 a month to support it. But she's somebody who just gave it away, because that's who she was. Anyways, but I always check those books. Yes.
It's a fascinating topic. We could spend hours talking about this portion of history and these really, I know, I'm sorry, running out of time, but it's really fascinating. It's interesting, and I have a much greater a much stronger appreciation for this time period in American history than I ever did as a child. So
and I have one more thing to say, if I can interject one more thing.
Sure.
Cynthia Erivo, who played Harriet Tubman, I saw her on a CBS special about 2 months ago. And the interviewer asked her a question. She said, you know, Harriet, you know, you played Cynthia Erivo, who won, you know, was nominated for Academy Award for her performance. She said, you know, you played Harriet Tubman. Would you ever consider doing it again? And she said, yes. And let me tell you why. Because there are 12 movies about Marilyn Monroe. And there are hundreds of movies about Abraham Lincoln. There is only one movie about Harriet Tubman. He says, I would like more of her life being shown. And when I wrote the book, that story that was shown with that, at any rate, her relatives, which I've met and been at the gravesite a couple times, they said they really liked the book because, unlike the movie, which stopped at a certain point, you went on and told about the rest of her life and the end of her life. So, you know, the movie itself stopped with her gaining her freedom and so on. Anyway, enough.
Yeah, I just think it's fabulous that you're offering this glimpse into American history for younger readers, because you're right, there isn't enough information on this topic. So thank you very much for doing it. I am appreciative of all your efforts on her behalf. Let me show you again the book. This is Out of Slavery, a novel of Harriet Tubman by Carol Trembath. And thank you again, Carol. It's been a fascinating night. I mean, I really wish that we could spend hours and hours with our authors. And unfortunately,
I could ask questions all night. So
yeah, I know.
Wait, can I ask a question that's relevant to tonight's topic though?
Who?
Me.
Yeah, I mean,
to everyone.
Okay, good. Okay, go.
Okay, everybody, and Diana, you can call on who you would like to go first. So I think one of the first books that I ever read that was very much, I'm not going to say an adult topic, but it was called The Devil's Arithmetic. It was about the Holocaust, and it was about a young woman who was in one of the camps. How do you write in young adult? How do you decide what is appropriate to go into your book and what might be saved for a little bit more mature book?
Good question. Joan, would you like to address that? Oh, your microphone's turned off. There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
The Big Boss, which is number 4 in the series, is probably the most sensitive topic that I've tackled yet. And it deals with, as I said, the books are set in the 1950s. It deals with the treatment of migrant workers. And so I wanted to make it realistic without being, well, let's see. One of my pet peeves is books that try to impose current standards on historical time periods, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I want the history to be true to the time period. So the 1950s were not a good time for people like migrant workers, okay? And the little boy who is the central character is the son of a migrant worker who, as I said, this book depends on a little bit on the previous book. His father has just been sent to jail for being involved in some thievery from the canning factory where Cora, one of the main characters' dad, is the manager. So Tito is angry and he doesn't have much use for school, and he doesn't like where they live, which is a dump, you know. And the kids try to win Tito and his family over. The big boss is the man who owns the housing for these workers that work at the canning factory. And so it's kind of a sensitive topic, but I sort of made it it's not quite a coming of age story, but Tito has to decide what kind of person he's going to be. Does he want to identify with some of the bigger boys who have decided that the way to overcome being poor and having dark skin is to just be bullies and be tough? Or does he want to be a good person on the inside? And, his mother's now a single parent because her husband, his dad, got sent to jail because of the actions of these 5 kids. He's stuck going home after school every day and taking care of his little brother and sister. And, it's just a sad situation. So
yeah. I think one of the things that both of you do really well is that you make history and stories about a time period where maybe children don't have access. You make it really accessible to children, and you create characters of morality so that young people can connect to what it means to be of good character and to be of strength and hope and faith and dedication and honor. So I'm really impressed with both of you for bringing those characteristics into your books for these young people. So thank you very, very much for doing that. I appreciate it. So we're going to start wrapping up tonight because I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but I do want to show you our authors' books one more time so you can find them. Andrew, you're awesome. Carol Tubman read Out of Slavery about Harriet Tubman. Check it out in our catalog, which we'll get to in a second. And Joan Young read From the Lonely Donkey, which is number 5 in her series for young readers. Check that out as well. So we're gonna move on. This is an awesome night. I could have spent another 3.5 hours chatting and talking and learning and discussing, and it's crazy. So I really appreciate everybody's time. Thank you very much. We are going to give away some stuff. I know that's the favorite part of everybody's part of our book festivals, and the Summer Reading Regatta, I know, is no different. Our authors are super generous. We've had authors donate a total of 152 books. So super cool. I'm really excited. So we're giving away some books tonight. We are going to give away a copy of The Lonely Donkey. We are going to give away a copy of Out of Slavery. Also, again, as I say, our authors are super generous. Marianne Weiland she handed me a box of books and said, here, have fun. What do you do? Okay, you give books away. That's what you do. So we are going to give away a copy of Mountain Mama, My Heart for Jill. This is a kind of a collector's book because it's the first edition. So you'll want to definitely cherish this. And then also from Marianne, we have Moments in Time. And this is a collection of short stories on romance. So we just give away stuff all the time here. Super fun. Why not, right? Just give stuff away. Okay, so here we go. We do this wacky thing called the Spinning Wheel of Happiness, just because I'm actually a 6-year-old child trapped in a 57-year-old body. So we're giving away stuff on the spinning wheel because it's so much fun. So let me see if I can find the right screen and show you our Spinning Wheel of Happiness. Please, Andrew, can you tell me you can see that? Yes, good.
I can.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're going to spin the wheel 4 times. We're going to get 4 winners, and then we'll tell you how you can claim your prizes. Here we go. Spin number 1. Hey, Catherine! Congratulations, you won a copy of The Lonely Donkey. Here we go, spin number 2. Congratulations, Michael Schwartz. You've won a copy of Out of Slavery. Congratulations, Michael. Here we go. Spin number 3. I am so glad I didn't have to call that one. Patty, congratulations. I love technology. It saves me every time. Patty, you've won a copy of My Heart for Jill. And now spin number 4, final spin for the evening. Yay, Jules Nelson. Congratulations, you have won a copy of Moments in Time. Thank you, everybody, for playing our wacky game. I just have so much fun doing that. It's just crazy. It's fun every time we do a festival. I pick new music and I just have so much fun. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, how is it that you claim your prizes? Here's how you claim your prizes. If you haven't done this with us in the past, here are the instructions. Huzzah, you've won a book. So because the spinny wheel of happiness land on your name, you need to send me an email with your mailing address in it by midnight tonight to diana@pagespromotions.com. This is how you claim your prize. Prizes not claimed by email will be added back into the rotation for a future giveaway. So make sure, my email list is my to-do list. Make sure I don't miss your mailing address. Otherwise, post office won't know you exist. Okay, next, we're going to talk about this. If you want a book, look inside your book, look for a lottery ticket. Christopher, tell us about the Life Raft Lottery, if you would.
Oh, the Escape from the Isle of Mediocrity. In each book that you win, there will be a lottery ticket. So as soon as you get your books, do the intelligent, smart thing that I didn't do last time. Look for your lottery ticket and scratch off to see if you are a winner or not a winner. If you are a winner, you need to send a photo of you and your winning card to claim your prize. And again, it is going to go to diana@pagespromotions.com. And you can win a fabulous bonus prize.
We have amazing bonus prizes. We have authors who donated so much stuff that I'm able to give away just a ton of prizes. The Life Raft Lottery tickets, these are first post pictures, first served with prizes. So, and your prizes will be randomly distributed. If I don't get a photo of you holding your winning ticket, you won't be able to claim your bonus prize. So make sure you do that as soon as you can, so that your bonus prize doesn't go to somebody else or get lost on the rolling seas. We would hate for Davy Jones' Locker to get your prize. That would be tragic. Deborah, tell us about the super bonus prizes.
Well, there are super bonus prizes for 5 brave lottery winners. And you can see pictures there. So they're like very, very cool ones. So you have to perform a poem, which you can see on your screen, and I'll read for you in a moment. But it must be done dramatically and in costume. So you must find a costume of some sort, whether it be piratey or otherwise, and recite this poem in your most dramatic manner that would really do justice to Diana's work here, because she wrote this poem. Am I right?
Yeah, Dinah stole for the 60% of it from a Girl Scout song, but yeah.
Still. All right. So the poem you'll be reading dramatically, and I'm not going to read it that dramatically right now because I'm saving it because I know that I'm going to get one of these lottery tickets.
Andrew, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just tell me if you can hear this. Out of my window looking in the night. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I steal your share for a second?
Just feel like thunder, Andrew. Fine.
Can I steal your share?
It's fine. Yes.
Go, Andrew, go. No, go, Andrew, do it.
You have an awesome reading voice. Do it.
Well, no, she has it turned off. I can't do the share. So.
Hold on, you guys. Okay. All right. Hold on.
I just, I like to overdo. So.
No.
Okay, try it now, Andrew.
Can you see this black screen that says Sail Bounty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, go.
We have 23 seconds here. Are we ready?
Go.
Out of my window looking in the night, I can see the sailboats flickering light. Starboard shines green and port is glowing red. I can see the sailboats straight ahead. Sailboats, are there treasures in your holds? Many trunks filled with silver and gold. Sailboats, are there captains at your helm, bringing books for readers of our town?
Holy moly.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
How do you do the voodoo that you do?
I do the voodoo. It's one of those things. Uh-oh, I lost
You
my.
need to, Andrew, can you stop sharing for a minute?
I just
there you
did.
go. Awesome. All right, thank you. Oh my gosh, you made me cry, Andrew. Thank you. That's so cool.
I had to do it. Sorry, Deborah. I just had to throw that in.
Okay,
Nope,
so if any of you have any doubt about how you're supposed to do that, there you go.
You know what we should do? Here's a thought. We should offer some bonus points if they can do it in a Canadian accent.
Hey?
Oh.
I like it. I like bonus points for Canadian accents. I like it. Okay. Wow. Totally like knocked me off my chair there, Andrew. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Okay. So Andrew, go ahead. Can you do where
You need
am I?
to share your screen again. I know that
I'm doing it. Okay, can you do that? Can you do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Out
you.
of all the videos posted, our membership will vote for the ultimate performance, and that person will get the astounding grand prize. And in this grand prize, we're going to tackle fear by starting with a copy of A Slice of Fear by little old me. Then take it to the next level as you find your way to Barnes & Noble to spend your $50 Barnes & Noble gift card on new books and pirate booty. Arr. But you're not done. You've still got to eat and have some more fun. So you're going to spend your $25 American Express gift card for dinner, cool bookmark, nifty eye patch, anything that you want. What better way to face and overcome our fear with this great, great gift?
Holy moly. See, not only is he talented and gifted, he is astoundingly generous as well. Thank you, Andrew Smith. And Andrew, can you pretty please email me that video? Pretty please.
I'm going to put it on Facebook so that everybody can giggle.
Awesome. That would be great too. Facebook would be great too. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see if we can get this ship back on course. Okay. Holy moly. Teching. Okay. So for those of you who have not seen this, I'm going to tell you, we have a special contest going on just for our authors. It is called the Captain of the Fleet. We're doing a virtual Port Huron to Mackinac race. This is my homage to the sail race that takes place every summer here in Michigan. So we are virtually moving captains, AKA authors, through the race. We started at Port Huron at the River Street Marina, and we are moving north to Mackinac Island State Harbor. How does this happen? This is how this happens. The authors invite people to come to the readings, all of the readings, and you as readers will let us know which author invited you. You can let us know that multiple authors sent you. So if you are friends with, know, or would simply like to support multiple authors, put as many names as you want in that list. All of them will get points. They accumulate points to move north on the course. As you can see, Deborah Reed is at the captain at the front of our fleet right now, with Seth closely on her stern. So this is a super fun thing. We're giving away prizes just for the authors. A snazzy finishers medal, which you can see there. Everyone who finishes will get one. The captain of the fleet will be chosen from the group of finishers on June 30th, which is our Venetian night wrap party. That winning captain who becomes captain of the fleet will get the snazzy trophy you see on your screen there. They'll get festival swag. They'll get free entry into our October virtual festival, and they will get a $50 Amazon gift card. So it's really super important that you support as many authors as you can throughout the month of June by registering for our events and letting us know the names of the authors when you come in the room that night. So not only do you win books by attending, but the authors win prizes by going through this virtual race. If you're interested, you can follow the race leaderboard on our page on our website at pagespromotions.com. There's under where it says Summer Reading Regatta, you can see the leaderboard page right there. And there's also a link to it on Facebook as well. Christopher.
Diana, you forgot to mention that the winner also gets to take Kate out on the sailboat.
Yes!
That would be a neat trick.
No,
I
no,
like it.
no,
I like it.
no.
I like it.
Nope, Kate, nope, running far, far away. Kate does not do boats, water, sailing.
Hey, wait,
no.
wait, but Kate, we didn't say the sailboat had to be in water. You could do the sailboat in dry dock, right?
Yeah,
while
okay,
watching the movie
right,
Jaws.
Yeah, while watching Jaws.
No. No. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Christopher, because no.
Good idea. Christopher's full of great ideas tonight.
Well, I'm full of it, all right.
All right. Kate, why don't you tell everybody about our Harbor Store catalog, and then we'll close out the night of silliness.
I've got too much anxiety because Christopher's taking me out on a sailboat. Anyway, so any of you, tonight, this just hit me in my heart. I love historical anything, and I love anything that introduces younger people to any kind of fiction, but historical fiction just hits me, you know, right there. So if you are interested in any of the books tonight, which you should be, I've been putting that link into the chat. I'll put it in again before we leave. The all of the movie, I'm thinking about myself here. All of the royalties go to the authors. And so Pages Promotions is not making any money off of this. This is all going right back to the authors. Completely very easy to use too. If you go on there, you're going to find the book you want, whether it came from tonight, last night, the night before, you're going to be able to find them. So I strongly encourage you to go on there, support indie authors, and we very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kate. And again, Kate did put that link into the chat box for anybody who wants it. You can find it on Facebook. You can find all the details about everything we're doing, all of the race flags, all of the contests, all of the prizes, all of the silliness. Andrew's going to put his video up there for me. Thank you so much for everybody coming out tonight. Tomorrow, we're doing this again. Like, you know, we're not doing it enough. We're actually doing it almost, I think there's only 4 days this month where we're not hosting something. So come on back, learn about more authors, come have some silly fun with us. We're having a good time. If you missed it tonight, sorry. If you know somebody who missed it tonight, check out Facebook tomorrow afternoon. I will post the replay link on our Facebook page. Feel free to invite as many people as you like to watch the replay. Thank you, Harbor crew. Real quick, lightning round, shots across the bow. Deborah, go.
Oh my gosh, so many awesome books. I mean, these two especially, I'm speechless, honestly, with my shot across the bow, because they're just fantastic, and I just want them all.
Awesome, thank you. Christopher, shots across the bow.
As someone who wrote one historical novel, will probably never ever do it again. I loved the dialogue and the scenes that you both read from tonight. I know how difficult that is to come up with. I've had to do it. Hats off to you both. They were wonderful, phenomenal reads.
Thank you. Kate, shots across the bow.
For anybody who is thinking about writing a young adult, don't be afraid to write things that are scary or adult or that you might think are too heavy for them, because that's our future right there. So don't be afraid to write that.
Awesome, thank you. Carolyn Tupperman had to run out early tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge her and appreciate her as being part of our harbor crew. She's awesome. Come check out her website on the 7th. And Andrew, parting shots across the bow, sir.
Absolutely, blown away here. One of the things that both of these authors brought was passion. I love the way Joan described everything and described a child's mind that is both meticulous and playful at the same time, and that was amazing. And Carol had lots of great imagery. I really enjoyed it. Passion is at the heart of what we do, and I really enjoyed tonight. This was great, really good.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We had a great time. Please come back tomorrow. Bring more friends so that captains can win more points and go up northbound to Mackinac Island. Thank you very much. See you all tomorrow. Check out the Facebook page for more fun stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.